Hello Stampers, my name is Linda Bedinger and I'm an independent Stampin' Up! Demonstrator. And it's time for my February Paper Pumpkin Alternatives video. And I got my paper pumpkin, and actually the cards in this paper pumpkin this time are really very pretty. I've obviously been in here and digging around. There's these different floral cutouts, die cutouts here in various different shapes. There's this one, there's a longer one, and then there's a short one that is a little different bunch of flowers. And then in this kit also, along with your normal dimensionals, are these Sahara sand card bases in here. Several of them. I think there's enough to make 9 cards the way they suggest here. Then there are these pretty vellum leaves and berry sprays, and then these banners, tags. Then there's several of these, 1 sheet each of these die cut pieces that they're really kind of cool because they're stickers. So you can peel this off and you can use this without the material in the center, except for those little things that define the word, or you can use the letters. And I'm astonished. There's a friend one, a thank you one, and then there's one that says celebrate. And this is what it looks like when you take out the outside of it. And then you're left with all of these words on the inside. Well, between thank you, celebrate, and friend, there are just an awful lot of letters here. And with a little imagination, you can do all kinds of things. Plus, there's things like I've already used 2 of my L's, so I'm going to have a hard time doing celebrate again. Unless I abandon one of the celebrates and turn my B into another L. The other thing that's interesting about the B is if you turn it upside down, it's a P. So I think there's some interesting things that you can do with these letters. And so I just think that there's, you know, lots of things that you can do with this. I don't know what the combination is. I'm sure it's some astonishing number of words that you could create using this combination of letters. Then there's all kinds of stickers. These pretty white daisy stickers, these longer ones with the stems, lots of green stickers. And you can see I actually have quite a few supplies left. Now these pages are pattern paper. I think you can see that. Different patterns, 3 different patterns of very pale stripe. This one that is a crisscross, and then there's one that's little tiny flowers. I don't know where mine has gone to, but you'll see them in a minute as I get to my cards. So there's all of that. Then again, more stickers, pages of them, or 2 pages of them, with pink flowers, blue flowers, more of these long flowers, yellow ones, and then these leaves. And then next month is the 5-year celebration of Paper Pumpkin, so next month's kit will be very special. There will be a free gift inside, and then there will be, apparently, the box is a commemorative keepsake box. So keep that in mind. If you sign up for Paper Pumpkin by the 5th of the month, then you're assured of getting the March kit. Okay, so there's all of this. So what did I do with them? Well, I went another way than I've seen most people do. I didn't get mine done right away, so there were a lot of alternatives out there before I got started. So let me just share with you, and I'm not going to make these on camera. I'm going to go over them, though, so that you can see exactly what it was I did. This is card number 1. And these flowers, to me, when I took a look at this kind of a panel, little piece that tore off there, this kind of a panel, it seemed awfully stark white to me. So in every case, what I did is I used a little of the Sahara sand ink, which is what color the papers are in this, and a dauber. So I went over and sort of took the white down. Then I used probably 3 sheets of Very Vanilla to create the cards that I did. And I made 2 of them in this style. And I took this little piece of paper here. I'm going to need my ruler to be able to tell you exactly what I cut it down to. But what I did was I cut down my paper like this one to 3 inches. And then I scored it at about 3/4 of an inch down and folded it back. And then what I did was I took one of the card bases and I cut the card base in half so that I had 2 separate pieces. And so if you decided to make, for instance, this card, that means that you could probably get many more cards out of this than the 9 it suggests. So I put a piece of Very Vanilla on the back. That's the normal card base size. Then I cut the Sahara sand card base down by just a little bit so that I got an, 1/8 of an inch border all the way around. Then on the piece that I cut down from here, I put that piece along the bottom here, and I just folded it and wrapped it on the other side and glued it down. Then I took one of these pieces and I just used my dauber with the Sahara sand ink, and you can see as I do this what happens. It just takes down the tone on that white a bit so that it's not quite so stark, and that made me much happier. So I did switch from white to Sahara sand to make most of my cards. And Sahara sand, I mean Very Vanilla. So on this one, after I scored that, I folded it and I used this as my card. So there is no card opening. This is what opens the card. So I used a little strip of this paper across the bottom and another piece of Very Vanilla. Then I put this piece on the back and folded it over. And then I took several of the flowers out of the sticker sheets here. Let me grab one so I can show you. And I took this long one and made it my focal point. So, and these are stickers, so you have to make your arrangement before you kind of get it all stuck down or you're in a little trouble. So what I did was I cut one of these green ones here in half, and I put my long one here, not straight, just kind of at an angle, and I tucked 1/2 of these green leaves underneath. Then I took a white flower from these flowers here, and again took down the color just a little bit, and I went around the edges on all of these, and I cut it in half, and I stuck half of the flower here and half of the flower here, so it would make my supplies go a little bit further. And then I used this twine, which is part of your kit, the linen thread, which is one of my very favorite things in Stampin'. I love this linen thread. And what I did was I went back and forth 3 times, and then I tied a bow around the stem of this long flower, and then I used a glue dot on either end to make sure it stuck down. Then I took my whole little arrangement and put it on this card, stamped my thank you, put a few pearls here and there we have, I think, a very pretty little card that is even put together a little differently. Plenty of room to write your message. It says your thank you on it, and it uses many of the supplies, but not too many. So that was card number 1. And this card kit was screaming shabby chic to me. So I did this card. And I took one of the background pieces, again, in this case I used this stripe one. And I distressed around the edges of it using the open side of my scissors and just crunched it down until I had distressed it all the way around, and then the white showed through, so I used my dauber then to go around and do that. I tore off a couple of places and then also daubered those. And this is a card like this one where it's sitting on a card base. This is one where I tore down. This is the other half of this card base. So I've used one card base then to make these two cards. And then I stamped some of those cute little flowers, first and second generation, on the back. I used one of these pieces and again took down the brightness on it, went around the edges, wrapped my twine around here. Mostly I was trying to stick things down on this end so this would stay closed a little bit. I put 3 little pearls here, and then when you lift it up, it says "Thank you, friend," and then has another flower here. So again, sort of a top folding partial front on the card, but I like the idea of shabby chic. So that one is card number 2. Then I did this card, and this is one where I used this Celebrate. First of all, I used a background piece on here, one of the other background pieces, and just glued it down. And then I took a piece of Very Vanilla. And what I did with my Very Vanilla was that I took the outline. Let me grab one here so you can see, because there's also some pieces that you can use on the envelopes from this kit as well. Okay, here's one of the envelopes. So what I did was I took the top of this envelope and I just traced that cute little arch across a piece of Very Vanilla. Then I went down 1.25 inches on both sides, put a little tick mark, and I traced that again, and then I just cut out that little archway on both sides. I thought that would frame this Celebrate real well. And I did the same thing that I did on the other card. I cut 2 of these green things in half, so I put one on either side, and I used a whole flower, a half a flower, and a half a flower. And I put my Celebrate down here. And on the inside, I just put 1 sprig of the green leaves. So that one, and I'm still left in that case with that whole Celebrate words that I could put on another card. So this one was probably the closest to the one in the kit that I made. And very simple, very fast. And again, I used my dauber around the edges of everything just to tone down the white so that it wouldn't look odd that I used Very Vanilla. So that one is card number 3. The next one is really super simple. I took another of these patterned pieces, and this is where I used not a word that was provided, but because I had the 2 L's, I have an E and I have an H from the thank you set. I was able to take those words out, and I just used my dauber again. And what I did was I drew a tiny little faint line under here so that I could line up my hello, and I put hello on here, friend. Then I took a piece from the envelope. This paper doesn't go all the way down on the inside of the envelope, but it goes down quite a ways. So I deconstructed one of the envelopes so that I could get at that paper. And I cut this paper off right here at the fold, and I used that little strip of paper to line this end. I rammed my twine around this, and again, very simple. So I had a little bit where I'd cut off a little bit of this, so I used a tiny little strip of it with another little piece of that paper there, and I left that one white because it's white on the inside. Very simple again, hello friend, and that is my card number 4. Then I did one more. I did this one. And on this one, the only thing I used that wasn't in the kit is I did use these 2 dies. I used the largest of the oval die to cut the center out of my Very Vanilla piece for the front, and I left a tiny little border on the top and the bottom, but not on the sides. And then I used my stitch, the largest of the stitch oval framelets on one of these pattern papers here, and cut out the stitched oval and then inset on the inside of this. I raised this one up on dimensionals, and then I did the same thing with cutting some of the flowers in half and tucking them on the inside to just create a little cluster of flowers. And you can do a better job than I do. I decided to stamp my thank you after this was in place, and so you want to do this before you put it in place so you get it properly centered. So I have my thank you across here, and then what I did was on the oval piece that was here, I cut that in half, and I put part of that oval here to mimic this on the front, and tucked a little flower on the inside. Now on this, in this stamp set, and I don't even think I've shown you the stamp set, there is Celebrate. Let me put this on. I think you can see it on there. It says Celebrate, Friend, and Thank You in the large ones. And then it says, as though to say, celebrate your awesomeness so much. Hello, sweet friend. And this one says big time. So I took the longest one and I stamped off and decided that I really wasn't interested in what it said, but I liked the idea of having a script, and again in that shabby chic kind of way. So I did stamp the flowers. This one has kind of a square edge to it, so I stamped one of those in all four corners. Then I stamped this little one that has a couple of flowers just on the inside full strength. And then I stamped all kinds of these flowers on the back along with this, both upside down and right side up. Again, I wasn't so worried about what it said. I just liked the idea of script in the background. And then this on the inside. And so that was my card number 5. So let me move some of these things out of the way. I didn't use in the kit any of the vellum. Could have easily done that, but I didn't. So there's lots of more things, many more things that one could do in addition to this. So here are my cards that I made this month for my paper pumpkin alternatives. And again, I used mostly the things in the kit. I used about 3 pieces of Very Vanilla. I used my Sahara sand ink, and I used 2 dies. Other than that, everything is in your kit. And thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel today. I hope you enjoyed that. I love paper pumpkin. And this one, the actual cards they have you make are just gorgeous. You can make, I think it's 3 each of 3 different designs. And they did theirs where they backed the words on some of these floral pieces. And I think they're just lovely. And then on the insides, they used, one of the things in this stamp set is this little thin line. And it looks like they used that line 3 times, like to put their sentiment on the inside. And then these envelopes that are lined are just really very pretty. So making up this card kit the way they have sent it, I'll probably make a handful of cards that are just the way they suggested here for myself, but I know I can't ever leave it alone. So these were my alternatives for this time. And again, thank you so much for stopping by my YouTube channel. I do appreciate it. And you can order Paper Pumpkin on my website, www.lbedinger.stampinup.net. And the prize draw for the month of February is a 2-month subscription to Paper Pumpkin, which gets you both this February kit, which I've already got in my hands, and I've ordered extra ones, so I have one for March, and March is the 5-year celebration. So again, that'll have the free gift in it, and if you're already a subscriber to Paper Pumpkin and you win my drawing, then we'll select something else from the catalog for you of your choice. So let's see. If you don't already have a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator, I'd love to be your demonstrator, or you could join my team. People who join my team, in addition to the deals that Stampin' Up! Offers, also get $40 in product from me. And so I've had a couple people sign up so far this month to join my team that have managed to organize their choices such that they got well over $220 worth of product for the $99. And then on my team, I work with people individually and in groups for getting out of your Stampin' Up! Joining whatever it is you have as goals, whether it's just to be a hobby demonstrator and get those discounts, or whether you want to do a little business for yourself, and I can help with all of that. In any case, that's it for me. Subscribe and share the video, and I'll be back with more projects and cards. See you soon. Bye.